Hey guys, it's Max. In this video, I'm going to be comparing the brand new 2019 8-core MacBook Pro, which is that one right over there. They look identical, to the previous generation 2018 that has a 6-core. Both these systems have 32 gigabytes of RAM and Vega 20 graphics. These are serious machines. They're not cheap, but they are fantastic for video editing, especially if you want to use software with Mac OS. They're thin, they're light, and they're very capable. As always, I'll be testing Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve 16 this time, and the latest version of Premiere Pro. And both of those latter programs have had some updates, so it's going to be quite interesting. Along with that, I'll be testing a wide variety of codecs to show you the information that you need to make your choice. And at the end, I'll be giving you guys some suggestions on if you should upgrade to the 2019 model, or if you're buying a new one, which one should you go for? Should you save some money and go for 2018 model with some discounts, or cough up the extra cash for a new one? Now, right off the bat, I have to say that the results for this one were quite odd and really had me scratching my head at times. In fact, overall, it was kind of the opposite of what I was expecting when this thing was announced. Make sure that you stick around, because between the different editing tests, I'll be giving you little tidbits of information that could be relevant to your use case, as I found some interesting things as I was testing these systems out. Now, to give a little bit of a background, the previous MacBooks, there was a huge ordeal about them getting too hot. The 6-core processors were basically thermal throttling, and then Apple comes out with these new 8 cores. When we compared them to the previous generation on our other channel called Max Tech, I'll actually link that video in the description if you guys want to check out a thermal video. It actually performed better. It actually ran faster in actually the benchmarks and with lower temperatures. Now, the first thing that I really wasn't expecting is for this 8-core processor to actually turbo boost higher than the 6-core, even though the ratings kind of are hard to go by. Typically, when you have an 8-core processor, the clock speed is not as high as a 6-core or a 4-core. And then when we max out all of the cores, a big kind of worry that I had when they announced 8-core processors is that even though we have 2 extra cores, it's going to clock lower, and that's what it seemed like because of the base clock speed being 2.3 compared to 2.6. That really wasn't the case. So this one with the Vega 20 graphics 2018 actually ran at roughly 3 gigahertz, 3.05, whereas the new one ran at about 2.95, 3.0. So we have 2 extra cores, but they run at practically the same speed. Now, that is fantastic news, but it's not the only good news. Not only does it run cooler when you're maxing out the system, but it runs cooler overall. The cooling systems are actually the same. They have not changed, and that's the first time that I've seen a MacBook Pro, this new design, running that cool. Typically, it's always been around 50 degrees Celsius. Just before I get into performance, I want to ask you guys to please like this video if you appreciate all the time, money, and effort that goes into making a video like this. It truly is really resource and time intensive to be able to test all of these codecs and video editing programs and benchmarks, and to grab all this data and package it into a small video for you guys. It's going to be very informative and helpful. Please hit a like on this video, and along with that, as always, I have links in the video description to both of these MacBook Pros, both the new ones that I recommend and the previous model that you can get at a discount. So leave some links to some good deals as well. Thank you guys. Now let's jump right into benchmarks. I'm going to start off with Geekbench 4, which is a benchmark that tests both single and multi-core, a wide variety of uses. And here, the new 2019 MacBook is about 30% faster in multi-core, which I was expecting, but what I wasn't expecting is about 10% faster in single core. This is the odd one. Like I mentioned before, typically when you have more cores, it actually performs lower in single core, but not this time. This is a fantastic improvement. As you may know, you can't always get really good information, especially in regards to rendering and video editing, because Geekbench 4 doesn't max out your CPUs. So for that, let's jump into Cinebench R20. We still get a 30% improvement in the overall multi-core score. So if we're pushing the cores to their limit, that performance is still there, and that is fantastic. Not only that, if you're pushing a single core, we still get that 10% improvement like we did in Geekbench 4. And for those of you guys who are still using Cinebench R15, we still get over 30% faster scores here. Next, let's jump in and test out the graphics cards. The scores do fluctuate just a little bit like they always do, but overall the scores are basically the same. And here in Bruce X, both these systems get 42 seconds. That's because it's just pushing the graphics to the limit, and this just shows that the graphics performance is basically the same. Just before we jump into our real-world video editing results, I have to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, Intego. Intego Mac Premium X9 offers 5 great programs in one bundle, starting with Virus Barrier. Yes, Macs can get viruses, and Intego will automatically protect you from both Mac and even Windows-based malware and adware. Second is Net Barrier, a very easy to use and advanced two-way firewall. Third is Content Barrier, which provides personalized parental control. And Backup is an advanced backup utility that can even make bootable backups. Finally, if your Mac is starting to slow down or it's filled up with files, you can use Mac Washing Machine to quickly clean up and speed up your Mac. Follow the link in the video description to get 30% off the already low price of Intego Premium X9 bundle. Alright guys, so time for the video editing results, and we're going to start out with stabilizing a 20-second 4K clip. Here in Final Cut, the result is basically the same, 8 seconds. In DaVinci Resolve, the results are the same as well, 25 seconds. And in Premiere Pro, the new MacBook Pro is actually faster, not by much, but it is faster because it's actually just using the CPU here, not using the graphics. Hopefully they update that this year. I've been saying this for a couple of years, but this year I have more hope than before. Next, let's take a look at a 5-minute 4K project. This is H.264 footage from the A7S II. I have a 5-minute timeline with 2 LUTs and film grain applied. And here, surprisingly, the scores are basically identical in Final Cut. In DaVinci Resolve, the new system is just slightly faster, and same thing goes for Premiere Pro. Now, I do have one tip for you guys. Previously, I talked about in Premiere Pro using Metal when you're editing your footage, when you're in the timeline, but when you're exporting, switching to OpenCL. Well, with the latest version of Premiere Pro, which was released, I think, end of April, beginning of May, they actually made a big overhaul. Thank you, Premiere Pro. And that's why we're seeing some faster numbers than we have before. That's why I have to retest this stuff, retest my iMac. Man, it's a lot of work, but I am happy that you Premiere users are getting better performance. After the update, you still want to use Metal when you're in the timeline, but when you're exporting, also use Metal. Don't use OpenCL. Now let's take a look at using 8-bit H.265 or HEVC footage, outputting to 8-bit H.265, and in Final Cut, we have basically the same exact time. It's identical. And in DaVinci Resolve, the time is also very, very close. And then in Premiere Pro, we actually see just over 15% faster scores with the 2018 MacBook Pro. Now, this is because Premiere Pro is using more of the processor, whereas the other two programs are relying on Apple's kind of APIs. So Final Cut is definitely using the T2 chip to export this. I'm not sure about DaVinci Resolve, but my guess is it's the exact same. It's using the T2 chip. You guys see how close the times are for Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. Premiere Pro takes much longer, but the performance is still better than it used to be, so that is good. Now let's take it a step further, and this time we're looking at 4K H.265 footage, but this is 10-bit. This is what the new cameras are coming with. A lot of older systems just struggle with this codec, but both these do a really good job. Even in Premiere Pro, the timeline performance is fantastic. Thank you, Premiere, for fixing that with the latest update. In Final Cut Pro, we see about 20% faster results with the new MacBook Pro. Same thing goes for DaVinci Resolve, and in Premiere Pro, about 25% faster. Now, one thing that you may have noticed is how much faster Premiere Pro is compared to DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut. And in fact, Final Cut is the slowest right now. Like I said in the past, if you're working with 10-bit HDR footage, they want to upload an HDR online, Premiere Pro gives you much better exporting. And keep in mind, this is only a 5-minute project, and it's taking this long. If you're doing a 10-minute, 20-minute, 1 hour, good luck. So hopefully the other two programs can catch up and improve the speeds. But here we see some pretty good gains, and this is probably the biggest gains I see overall if you're working with 10-bit footage. Now, like I said, none of these programs have an issue playing this back because it's decoding. It's when you're exporting that it doesn't use the dedicated hardware, or it doesn't have dedicated hardware, and it takes much longer. Now, another very interesting thing that I want to jump into, another tip with the new Mac Pros, another improvement is the fan noise. I know I talked about it in the past that it runs cooler, But what's very interesting is if you're pushing the CPU to roughly 50-60% like we are with this export, and then you're pushing the graphics to the max, the old MacBook Pro 2018, the fan would go to full blast, 100%, 6,000 RPMs, whereas the new one was actually just slightly above idle. Because it runs cooler, especially when you're not pushing it to the max, it is basically silent when I'm working with this footage, when I'm exporting it, and it stays fairly cool. It doesn't need to kick up those fans, or the older model actually does have to kick up the fans, and there's a big difference. In just regular usage, I did notice that this one is quieter. Now let's take a look at Canon Cinema Raw Light from the C200. This is 4K 60 footage. I do have color corrections and a LUT applied. In Final Cut Pro, I see no difference whatsoever. And in DaVinci Resolve, I get almost 20% faster rendering. And then in Premiere Pro, I actually get about 15% faster rendering. What gives with Final Cut? Why are so much of these scores identical? Well, Final Cut is actually leaning more on the graphics than the processor. And not only that, if we actually look at all of the video tests that I did, I saw a trend where the new MacBook Pro, the CPU utilization isn't as high as with the previous one. For example, my previous MacBook Pro could be at roughly 80%, 90% when I'm exporting, and the new one would be at like 60%. So even though we have the extra cores, all of those are being used, but we don't need as much CPU power. That is actually not our limitation. And in Final Cut, their scores are practically the same. As far as the video editing performance when you're in the timeline smoothness, surprisingly, not much has changed in Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. With both of those, you still get about 30 frames per second playback, which is fantastic for a laptop being able to play raw footage. In Premiere Pro, we did see a small boost, actually roughly 20 to 30% higher frame rates, but that actually doesn't mean much because Premiere Pro still struggles with this footage. And so we have an improvement, but it's still not good. You still got to knock down to half resolution, which both of them can play at about 30 FPS there. So Premiere still has some optimizations to make in that area. So overall, unless you really need, 15, 20% faster exports, it really doesn't make a difference going with this new model compared to the previous one when you're going to spend most of your time in the actual timeline editing your footage. Now for the last codec, this is 4.5K RAW from the Red Raven, and here in Final Cut we got 25% faster results. The first time I'm seeing actually a big gain in Final Cut. In DaVinci Resolve, it was actually slightly slower, which is really weird. And then in Premiere Pro, roughly 10% faster. Not that much of a difference, but a little bit of a sliver. The reason that we're finally seeing better performance in Final Cut is because with this red footage, the CPU is basically just maxed out. So if we're maxing out the CPU and the graphics is not the limitation, obviously we have more cores, about the same speed, so we're seeing some gain. Now in DaVinci Resolve, it was slightly slower, but you can kind of say it's the same, very similar results. That's because DaVinci Resolve actually does a great job handling this red footage, much better than Final Cut and Premiere Pro. And in Premiere Pro, we saw a small difference. Once again, we're pushing the CPU a lot, but the utilization is actually lower with the new MacBook Pro than the previous one. So we get a kind of a small gain. If you're editing with Final Cut or Premiere Pro, you do have to knock your resolution down at least to half in Premiere, and you have to switch to better performance in Final Cut to be able to get smooth performance, or else it is super choppy. Whereas in DaVinci Resolve, it actually works at full resolution. It's not perfect, but it does play back. So DaVinci Resolve 16 paired with either one of these MacBook Pros will give you really good results, much better than the other two programs. That was a lot of information. Hopefully that helped you guys, and some of those little tips helped you guys out as well. Overall, I'll give you guys my opinion. This new MacBook Pro is great. Yes, we have extra cores. Yes, it doesn't thermal throttle. It actually runs cooler at idle, at full load, and especially at medium loads. The big question is it worth upgrading to this new model? And then is it worth buying the new one over the old one at a discount if you're looking to buy one right now? Let's start off with, is it worth upgrading? Well, with Final Cut, it definitely is not. Maybe if you do red footage, but probably still isn't. I mean, most people spend a lot of time in the timeline, and what we saw in the previous MacBook Pros is each time there was an upgrade, the timeline performance could get better. It'd be improved slightly or massively if you're going with the Vega 20 graphics and the 6-core. The 2018 was a great upgrade. This time around in Final Cut, it definitely isn't worth it. Maybe if you're working with the 10-bit footage and you're exporting 10 bits, I would say that's probably the biggest difference as far as exports because they do take quite a long time. But overall, as far as the video editing experience with all of these programs and all of these codecs, they are just so close, and in some cases there's no difference whatsoever. So if you're editing and you're getting slowdowns and stuff like that, if you're stacking a bunch of stuff up, don't expect any performance differences between these two machines. Now, I'll let you guys know why. That is basically because at this point, the limitation is not the processor. It's not 6 cores versus 8 cores, even though these 8 cores are faster and they stay higher clocked. It's actually the graphics card. Yes, even the Vega 20 graphics card is the bottleneck for the system. Now, unfortunately, Apple does not let you buy the new MacBook Pro, the new 6-core model with Vega 20 graphics. They make you go up to 8-core if you want the Vega 20 graphics. And even with the 8-core, you don't need that 8-core. You really need better graphics. So if you're not going to be upgrading to Vega 20 graphics, in either case, I would just stick with the 6-core model, I guess, with the new one. With the previous one, you're not limited by the CPU if you're pushing it with all of these tests. It really is a graphics card limitation. So if you push your machine to the limits, I would definitely say go with the Vega 20 graphics, not the Vega 16, not the 560X, because that is the limitation. And hopefully the next upgrade we get, hopefully a redesign, they'll have some better graphics included. Now, what about if you're thinking of buying either one of these machines? They're priced basically the same, but you can get some good discounts on the 2018 models, and I will link some good deals down in the video description. You guys can go and check that out. Well, I think this is going to be the first time that I actually recommend people buying the older model. In all the years past, I always said, hey, you know, it's worth spending a couple $100 extra to get the newer version. There is a performance difference. This time around, I would say, no, it is not worth it. Unless you have extra cash where you really want one of these new MacBook Pros, or you're doing something that really pushes the CPU to its limits and it's not really pushing the graphics to the limits. I say if you want to save $200, $300, $400, maybe even $500 in some cases, just go for the older model. The performance is so close. So my recommendation is a little bit different than past years. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Once again, there's links in the video description. If you didn't like this video yet, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, ask in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer those questions. Once again, a big shout out to Intego for sponsoring this video. If you guys are looking for a great set of tools for a very good price point, go and check them out. They sponsor the channel. They help me to make videos like this. I definitely appreciate them. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.